Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing Unit 4, Lesson 11D, Hangman Division with quotients that include decimals. So we remember quotient is the fancy term for answer to a multiplication, division problem. And all of our quotients are going to include decimals. So what does this mean? Well, instead of having whole number answers like 5, like 8, you're going to have answers that include decimals such as 5.4, 8.7, 8.72 perhaps. So just keep in mind and be wary for these things that are going to come up. Okay, so what do we know about the Hangman division method? Well, one thing we do know is that instead of actually dividing, we are multiplying or repeated multiplication in order to come up with our answer. And this works because multiplication is an inverse of division, right? So with that said, what we can do first is create our little hangman apparatus so we can get started. And we have to remember to always take our dividend and put it inside. And then we take our divisor and we put it on the outside. Now, we just need to come up with different numbers right here and multiply them by that divisor. And whatever our answer is, whatever our partial product is, we will go ahead and subtract that by the dividend. Okay, so let's get started. Let's see here. We are going to analyze this question. So we have 836. Now, what number times 5 will get us close to 836? Well, we want a number that's easy enough to multiply, but not a number that's going to be too large or too small. Well, let's take 10, for instance. Now, 10 times 5 is going to give us 50, and that's really not going to multiply or subtract too much away from our answer. So instead of 10, let's go ahead and do 100. Okay, 100 times 5 is 500, and then we go ahead and subtract those numbers, and what we're left with is 36 and 300. Okay, so we're still not at 0 yet. We must continue. We can't do 100 again. It's not going to give us a large enough answer. Well, I'm noticing that 330, if we do 30, well, we know that 3 times 5 is 15, but 30 times 5 is going to give us 150. Then we can go ahead and subtract 3, 2, and 3, 2. 226. Now, we know that 226 is larger than 150, so let's go ahead and do 30 one more time. And 30 times 5 will give us 150. And then subtracting, we are left with 6 and 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 76. So we're getting pretty close. What's another number we can use? Well, I know I'm going to go ahead and use 10 because I know 10 times 5 is 50, and this should get us a little bit closer. Okay, so now we're left with 6 and 26. And last but not least, 5 times 5 is 25. And we are left with 1. Okay, now what's the problem here? Well, the problem is there's no number times 5 that will give us an answer less than 1. Unless, of course, we work with decimals. So what do we need to do in this situation? Well, what we need to do is add a decimal place here. And if we do that, it means that we must add a decimal right here for our answer. Okay, now we know that a number times 5 equals 10. And what number is that? 2. Perfect. So 2 times 5 equals 10. And now we can subtract the 10s and we have 0. Excellent work. So now what must we do? Well, we must add them all together. So 100 plus 30 is 130, plus 30 is 160. 160, plus 10 is 170, plus 5 is 175, and plus 0.2 equals our answer, 175.2. So that's going to be our answer there. Okay, any questions about that? Excellent. Well, we're going to go ahead and solve our second problem here just to make sure that you're feeling completely comfortable with using the Hangman method and using that method in order to come up with quotients that involve decimals. Okay, so this time we have a dividend of 830 divided by divisor of 8. So what do we always do? Well, actually, I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit smaller. So we know that we always put our dividend on the inside, and we put our divisor on the outside. Why do we do that? Well, think about it as a reverse, right? Because we're kind of reverse multiplying. Okay, so now we have to choose numbers and multiply those numbers times 8 to get an answer and continue subtracting our way until we get to 0. Okay, so what might be a good number to put here? Well, I see that we have an 8 here and an 830 here. So what number times 8 will get us close to 830? Excellent. So I was thinking 100 as well. So if we take 100 and we multiply it by 8, we get 800. Now we just have to do what? Well, we need to subtract that partial product by the original dividend, and what we're left with is 30. Okay, perfect. Now, what's another number times 8 that will get us close to 30? Excellent, 3. So 3 times 8 is 24, and 30 minus 24 is 6. Looks like we have a problem here, and what is that? Yes, there's not a single number times 8 that will give us an answer less than 6, but we haven't hit 0 yet. So what must we do? Perfect. Add a decimal place, add a decimal place, add a decimal place. Okay? Excellent. Perfect. Okay? So let's see here. Well, we know that 7 times 8 will give us 56. Okay? And when we subtract these, we're left with 4. Now, what's our problem? We've done it again. Okay? We do not have a number times 8 that will get us less than 4. So, what do we have to do? Here's the big trick. What you have to do now is add an extra decimal place. Extra decimal place. You're moving down by 1 place value. Okay, so now we have 40 instead of 4, and this is perfect because we know, or we're aware, that 8 multiplied by a number does equal 40. And what is that number? Perfect, 5. 5 times 8 equals 40. 40 minus 40 is 0. Okay, so as you can see, we had to add a decimal place 1 time and then a second time in order to come up with our rightful answer. So what do we have to do now? Yes, we must add together all these partial products, and when we do that, we come up with 100 plus 3 equals 103, plus 0.7 is 103.7, plus 0.05 is 103.75. 103.75 is our answer. Okay, so hopefully now when you are dividing using the Hangman method, you are not intimidated when you reach these numbers that force you to add a decimal place. Okay, thank you for tuning in and take care.